Hey guys, welcome to another Grit Branded podcast. Hanging out with Mr. Winston Hansma.
Hansma.
Okay, and that is a Polish last name.
No, it's Dutch.
Dutch.
My
Man,
parents
that's solid.
immigrated from Holland after World War II
Okay,
and settled in southern Alberta. That's where I'm a Canadian.
Canadian too.
Yeah,
Oh dang.
and they were farmers, and Dad grew up as a farmer in Holland and liked horses, and so that's kind of how what I do now evolved.
So what do you do now?
Well, I've been in the cutting horse business since the early 1980s.
Oh, you old school.
Yeah,
Old
yeah.
school.
And before that, I've always been involved with horses and did a lot of AQHA events, halter. We had a world champion halter horse at one time, and did back then trainers did everything. You did all the events, and really didn't find anything I was passionate about.
Right.
And when I started showing and working cow horse and working a horse on a cow, I thought, you know what? I can remember thinking this. You know what? I think I could do this every day. It was that one other variable involved that really captivated my attention and my passion for being a horse trainer.
Yeah.
And so I had kind of a pause in between jobs up there in Canada, and I thought, you know what, this would be a good time to spend a little time learning how to ride a cutting horse. And so I got a job at the Dock Bar Ranch in Piscinas, California, with Charlie Ward. Dock Bar was 26 years old at that time.
Oh wow.
But looked great. He looked like a 16-year-old.
Really?
You hear people talk about how, you hear people would say that they thought Dock Bar had some Arabian. He was just ahead of his time. Very breedy. Even at 26 years old, he was a very typey-looking individual.
And they thought he was what?
Well, there was some talk that they thought he had some Arabian in him.
Arabian.
Yeah.
Because his face so defined.
Well, yeah, and he had a little round apple butt, and back then, the Poco tibials were heavier bone, bigger footed, a little coarser type of horse. A lot of the quarter horses were.
Right.
And Dock Bar had a lot more of the thoroughbred influence in him because he was by Lightning Bar, by 3 bars. 3 bars was a thoroughbred, and so he had a lot of thoroughbred bloodlines in him. And so I spent a year working for Charlie Ward, and I had the job I had lined up to go back to in Canada. That was in the early 80s. We went through a recession. The guy I was going to go work for was a developer in Calgary, and he went broke. So I thought, well, I guess I'll spend another year in California and learn some more about training a cutting horse. And so that's what I did, and then went back to Canada for a few years. Got offered a job in Fredericksburg, Texas in 1987, and moved down there. Spent great country. I loved it down there.
Yeah, beautiful country.
And at that time, it was kind of like the Weatherford of Texas for the cutting horse. Bobby Shelton was there, Leon Harrell was there, Jim Marino was there, Freddie McGee. There was a lot of cutting horse people in that area. And have you been in Freddie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful area. Yeah, it's beautiful country.
Yeah, roll them big bluffs and live oak trees.
Yeah.
And spent 3 years there, and then had a customer that ended up being a gentleman that owned Dual Pep and CD Olena. He bought a place here in Weatherford on the south side of the interstate, and moved to Weatherford, and that's where I've been ever since.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
So some of my favorite things to talk about is the old foundation bloodlines and stuff, and it sounds like you're around a lot of it back in the day.
Oh, yeah, well, yes.
Yeah, and there's not very many, a lot of people I've talked to or do a podcast with, they're newer generation of trainers. I don't get to talk to very many of the old school trainers that have been around those type of bloodlines, and those are the ones that really intrigue me of how it all started and how much it's evolved and changed to what it is now.
Yeah, it's come a long ways. Wow. Yeah, we just every generation we keep breeding better quality horses, easier to train, more instinctive about working a cow, or actually even in the reining or the cow horse. I mean, we've done a good job of improving our bloodlines. we're a little inbred because, like in the cutting, for the most part, it all goes back to Doc Bar. And at some point in time, we're going to have to come up with an outcross, but hopefully that'll happen.
Yeah, that's a hard thing. And right now, a lot of thing has cat in it. You know, metallic cats all over the place too. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
Well, that goes back to Doc Bar. Metallic cat was by Highbrow Cat. Highbrow Cat was by Highbrow Hickory. Highbrow Hickory was by Doc's Hickory. Doc's Hickory is by Doc Bar. Wow. A lot of our cutting horses go back to Doc Bar multiple times. If you look at a pedigree.
I got you.
Yeah, multiple times.
So, what CD Olena? You actually won a Futurity on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in 1994.
1994. What kind of horse is he?
Full of himself.
Full of
And no, he was full of himself. He was a character. And actually, after he won the Futurity, he actually behaved like he knew he'd won the Futurity. I know it sounds ridiculous, but he did. But big athlete, real cowy. You know, he was what I call a big lights horse. He seemed like when I showed him in Fort Worth in the finals, that's when he was at his very best.
Yeah.
You know, we won the Derby on him the following year, and I had a couple cows pair up on me in the semifinals, or in the finals. I'd won the semifinals, had a couple cows pair up on me in the finals that kept me from, I ended up fourth, kept me from winning the Super Stakes as well. So he'd have been a Triple Crown champion, but he was, he was bred to be champion. He was by Doc Olena, who was a smart little Olena, and a Futurity champion himself. And then out of a mare called CD Chickasaw Badger, which was a mare that Buster Welch trained, and his wife Shayla won the non-pro Derby on, and she was, you know, that was been back in the 80s. She'd won a couple 100,000 back then. So he was bred to be a champion, and yeah, it was great to have him come along when he did. Yeah. I had two good horses that year. I ended up first and fourth in the Futurity, and I can remember thinking to myself, and I know you're not supposed to think that way, but I actually thought to myself, you can't win the Futurity on either one of these two horses. You might as well just quit.
Yeah. Well, what is some of obviously anything with bar in it, but what was some of your older generation of studs you liked? Or bloodlines, I guess, not much.
Well, they keep getting better. You know what? The horses today are a lot easier to train.
Why is that?
Well, we just bloodline breeding. You know, back when I moved here and when I started cutting, for the most part, most of the horses you rode were out of mares that never cut. They kind of had cutting bloodlines in them, but most of them didn't have any show career. And horses back then were just a little tougher as well. I mean, they were just a little bronchier and took more work to get trained, but we've done a good job of if you look at pedigrees now, if you go down through the horses that make the finals at almost every major aged event, they're out of mares that you know, or that were great show horses, or have been more that have been were good show horses. And then there's a few that maybe weren't as good as show horses, like Showbiz Kitty, that end up being a great producer. But we've just done a better job of breeding more trainable. Like I said, they're just bred to do the job. Bred to do the job. So, you know, as far as bloodlines go back, you know, a lot of what we got goes back to Doc Bar, Little Peppy, Colonel Freckles, Poco Tibio. You know, that was all before I was involved in the cutting horse industry. But, you know, those four studs right there, Pepe San 5, Pepe San and the sire of Little Peppy were full brothers. You go back through a pedigree on your registration papers, and those horses are going to show up somewhere in those bloodlines.
I would agree with that.
But we've done we really the quality horses are exceptionally better than, like I said, we just, every generation gets better. When Smart Little Lena quit breeding, we're like, well, what's going to go on now? Well, then Highbrow Cat come along. Well, Highbrow Cat was, these colts have won close to $100 million now. And when he passed away, and there's still some because they're doing the ICSI on him, but then Metallic Cat stepped into his footsteps. And now we've got the sons of Metallic Cat that, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Rebel, Metallic Ray Mink, and, we just keep...
A lot of spinoffs of it.
Yeah, we just keep breeding better horses.
Was there a bloodline that when you saw it come up, if a customer was bringing you a horse, you knew it was going to be, you knew there was a long road ahead of it, but it was going to make a great horse? They were just so stubborn, so to speak. But
you know what? For the most part, now, if our rule of thumb basically is if they've had a good 2-year-old three and a good 3-year-old year, and they're not a show horse and a good horse, they're probably not going to make it. There's a few of them like J. Bar Fletch. Mm-hmm. He was older when he got to be he was a 6-year-old before he got, but that was been a few years removed. But most of the time today, that's kind of, they've had a good 2-year-old year and a good 3-year-old year. They've had 18 months of training. I'd say probably 95% of the time, the ones that are good is there's maybe 5% that maybe require a little more time, had some soundness issues, or some of them along the ways maybe didn't get started early enough in their 2-year-old year and didn't have as much time on them as a 2-year-old as we'd like. But that's an exception to the rule. Yeah.
How much has the cutting industry changed since when you started to now? As far as, is it still the same backbone it was, or is it evolved into more of a business, or is it still staying to its roots?
Oh no, it's definitely a big business now. I mean, they sold 360 head of 2-year-olds at the Futurity sale that averaged 90,000.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it's a big business. Yeah, the whole horse industry has taken off.
Abroad, yeah.
But I'd say that the easiest way to me to tell you how much things have changed. When I started cutting, I was like 28 years old. It was 1981, somewhere in there, 82. And I remember my goal was, and I thought that was a pretty realistic goal. I thought, you know what, you got 15 or 20 years to figure out how to train and show one of these, train these horses, and win something to make it, in my mind, I'm satisfied it was worth the effort. Well, now guys are winning the Futurity when they're 21.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So the learning curve is definitely condensed because people are brought up in the industry. They show through the youth. Then it's just good horses, and they've been around it, and they're athletes, and they good showmen because they've gone through the youth thing, youth programs, and so it's definitely changed a whole lot. I mean, it's hell, even 10 years, 15 years ago, there was only a handful of guys. Like when we show, they have sets of to be 15 horses in a set, and if you drop last, it's always, for a long time, was that was a big handicap. And there was just a handful of guys that you could routinely get through a last hole draw. Right. Now everybody can.
Right.
Oh yeah, now everybody can. Yeah, yeah.
The way the world works now, it's that way. Yeah. So you came down to Texas. You came down to California, went back to Canada.
I went to Canada for a few years, and that was good because I got a lot of show experience. And the competition wasn't nearly as tough as it was here, so you could have a bobble in a run, win a check, you could enter another class. So it was a good place for me to get some show experience.
Are cattle about the same in Canada?
No,
a little heavier?
no. There's very little Bramer influence in the cattle up there. here down here, a lot of cattle have like a quarter ear on them.
Yeah.
And up there, you won't find any bramer in them. They'd be more like the cattle in the northern states.
Gotcha.
So a good cow here will work 15 feet away from you. It'll be a good cow and get a hold of you where you can work it in. Well, in Canada, the cattle work a lot closer to you. So there's quite a difference in the cattle. The biggest difference I'd say between Canada and the United States is, as far as the horse business, the tax laws are substantially different.
Are they?
Oh yeah, yeah. Up in Canada, unless your main source of income isn't ag related, so you're a rancher or you're a farmer, you can only write off like $10,000 a year. And down here, I think that's a big reason why a lot of people spend what they do in the horse business, because of all the tax advantages that are involved in.
Gotcha.
In it.
Yeah, that's true. That would change our industry completely.
Oh yeah.
If it had that.
Yeah.
And horses seem to be cheaper up there too, in Canada.
Oh well, yeah. A good horse though is just like here. They're expensive too. Yeah, they sell them team roping horses, and I guess you could probably say because the difference in the dollar, would be an incentive. But yeah, they got those ranch horse gelding sales and stuff, and team roping sales. They've gotten to where they're high too. Yeah, the good ones, the better end.
Right.
Yeah.
So the average person that's watching this that doesn't know the cutting industry, can you give a basic walkthrough of what you're doing when you're horseback and you're going into the herd to work? How it all, in a nutshell, how it kind of works?
All right. Well, it starts first is it takes about 18 months to 2 years to get a horse trained good enough to do it.
Right.
And then, like before the futurity, we'll take and haul those horses around quite a bit to what we call pre-works. And somebody will get a group of cattle put together and rent an arena, and we try to simulate a show situation as close as we can to get the horses used to, 4 horses, 2 horses in the corner and 2 horses in front, and the activity of what's going on. And we'll go to, 6 to 10 of those before we go to the futurity. And then actually when you get to the futurity, it's a big part of getting your horse shown properly is getting the right cattle picked. When I moved down here, that wasn't one of the variables. You just went down there and you cut. And then a lady named Barbara Schulte, she started sitting up there and writing the cows down that had been cut and the cows she liked, and started doing real well, started winning. And so we're like, oh heck, now we got to do that. Because there is a lot to it,
yes.
And so that's a big part of, when you go to a cutting, you can sit up there and you can see all the trainers are sitting behind the herd of cattle, and they got their paper out and pens, and they're writing down what cattle have been cut and what cows they like. And it's kind of an evolving process, because there's cattle that you like that got cut and cattle that you didn't like when they were settling, that as the cutting's going on get better. And so you add those to your list.
Will you see people use the same cattle sometimes?
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
But it does happen.
Does the judge care?
No, because most of the time judges aren't. They can't keep up with all that.
They got too much other stuff going.
Yeah. And then there's a lot to getting, and that's part of what you're doing when you go to the pre-works before the shows, is you figure out how much riding it takes to get your horse prepared to show. Usually it's 2 or 3 times as much as what you would do when you're at home, as a basic rule of thumb. Yeah. So if you ride for 20 minutes here at home to get your horse ready to show, you at least need an hour, and probably more than that, to when you're in a show circumstance, because you don't want them too fresh.
Yeah.
You get to playing around, because that creates misses in a run, and that's all puts you in the penalty box. And anyways, so you've got 4 helpers. Hopefully they the guys out front know kind of how you like to have the cow brought to you. Some guys don't like a lot of activity, you do too much out there. Other guys want you to bring a cow because they like a cow to take that horse somewhere. And your corner help, those are the two that are down in the closer to the herd. They help you find your cows, and that's very challenging, especially now that we're getting more and more black cattle.
Right.
You're looking for dirt smudges and tail hooks and
whatever defines them.
Yeah, I mean, to identify them. So it's a big job.
That's a common question people ask is like, what are these 4 guys doing, and what is their role in this, and explain to them that, I mean, they're all key and part of making you successful, but the front two are probably the ones in the corner that are the ones that are going to make you, or the ones you need to make sure you're getting the right cattle to you.
Mm-hmm. And it takes 4 guys that really want you to do well too.
Yeah, because people ask that aren't familiar customer wise, that I might be introducing them to it. They ask, well, why does he pick those 4 guys? Or it might be the 4 guys returning back from another trainer use the same 4 guys, And I was like, well, they all know how each other work.
Yeah, they're usually guys that you're friends with.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And but that's not necessarily the only variable to why you pick the guys you do to help. But like I said, it takes. And that's the unique thing about cutting. You've got to have 4 guys that want you to do well.
Yeah.
Because they may show after you in that bunch. And if they're in the corner, you need somebody, somebody that's 100% behind you to do as good a job as they can. And the reality is just because we think those cattle look good and have acted good, that doesn't mean they're going to be good to cut. So
sure.
It's about 50-50 really.
Right.
But we pick people that there's some guys that are just better at keeping up with the cattle. It's a big job. You got 65, 70 head of cattle in that arena. To keep up with, what's been cut and what's not been cut. And, that cow we liked, a couple horses ago didn't act very good when they tried to cut it. And there's a lot of stuff to keep up with. And so some guys are just better at it. Right. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, some guys are just better at it.
And then you have cattle exchanges too, depending on how many times per show. Like a new set.
Every 15 horses, right?
Yeah.
Not very often do they put more than 15 horses in a bunch, but every 15 horses they change cattle. Another 65 or 70 horses come in, and cattle come in.
Right.
And the process starts all over again.
Yep.
Yeah, it's but I think that's the thing that makes cutting cool is the unselfish people that are involved in it. That like I said, that want to see you do good and genuinely happy when you do well. Right. Because they realize how much goes into being able to have a winning performance.
Right.
Yeah, takes a little luck. Takes a little luck. Just like I always say when I won the Futurity, that could have been the first go around that I cut the great cows and nobody was in the stands but to do it on that night when all the people are in the stands and the money's up, there's a lot of other preparation that goes into it and takes some luck.
Right.
Yeah, it takes some luck.
So what are you looking for when you walk up to cut your first cow? What do the audience need to be in tune with? Are you looking for face you, push you away? I mean, what would be the scenarios here?
Well, preferably, you like a cow to be stopped standing when you cut it.
Okay.
And then for it to, when it does make its first move, you would prefer it to be respectful of the horse and turn into you.
Okay.
And just like the cows I cut when I won the Futurity, they, the back gates of the Coliseum, they're probably 30 foot wide, 25, 30 foot wide. Well, then I cut 3 cows that never left that distance. They just worked right there in the middle of the arena. And they just were that good of cows. And for the most part, the winning runs are, the horse has to be good, but good cattle make a lot of horses perform well. But the winner is usually the guy that cuts the best cows that night.
Right.
And it may be the first horse. It may be the very last horse. Generally, it's somebody in that third, fourth, fifth, sixth in a bunch area. But we don't know all that till it's all over with.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when they go, the cattle that are supplied for y'all to cut at these shows, is there a certain place they come from, or it just they hire a stock contractor that brings in this many cattle? It doesn't matter. Is there a qualification you have to have? The cows have to weigh a certain weight. They have to have been never seen. I mean, I guess hard to be seen. They've never seen a horseback. That'd be impossible. But is there any kind of criteria that they have to be able to furnish the cattle for a cutting?
Well, I don't think they like them. There's something written in there. I don't think they like them any less than 550 pounds or heavier than 650 pounds.
Okay.
They prefer them to have seen a horse.
Right.
You know what I mean? For them to have been handled horseback. And there's just so when we have a first go around, like at the Futurity, there was 650 head of horses.
Golly.
And they figure 5 head, so they needed 3,500 head of cows for the first go around alone.
Wow.
And they have to be, they prefer them to have one brand. They're not going to take your cows and so-and-so's cows and another guy's cows, and that's what we cut. So there's only a few guys, Trotter Schematas, Robbie Figpen. Those are probably two of the most recognizable names, Johnny Trotter and Pete Schemata from, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, we try to get, the cattle, each go around have to be from one supplier. And over the years, we've developed contacts for who is capable of contracting those cattle.
Gotcha.
Those are the people they normally do business with. There's I'm not on the cow committee, so I don't know this, but there's probably no more than 10 individuals that they actually at Fort Worth.
Right.
Yeah, that they actually do business with. And like I said, we prefer that they have been used, worked, or handled a horseback properly, and but not cut on,
right,
or team penned or
right,
roped or whatever the case might
sure,
be. But there's always going to be some, because they put groups of cattle together. So there's going to be some that have been exposed to that at some point in time.
right.
It's just the nature of the beast.
Right. Well, a lot of these questions I'm asking is because it come from a customer or somebody that was not familiar with the sport. I like to educate people where more people come to our sport and hang out with us or want to learn or get involved. And there's a lot of common questions, and a lot of people are scared to ask those questions during the competition because they don't know what they're doing or know what they're talking about. And I was like, I don't care what you say or ask questions. I'd rather tell you what they're doing than not, but those have been questions I didn't have answers to. I didn't know where the cattle came from. They asked the most random questions I never thought about before.
Well, like all those people I talked about, they have buyers at every sale in Texas, and sometimes some of them come out of Mississippi and Louisiana and New Mexico and Oklahoma, and you know how the cow business works. They bring all those cattle together and sort them up, and so into the proper sizes. And the cows we get, I'm sure that they need to be put together a minimum of 60 days. If we see any fresh brands on them, then probably that is not preferable.
Sure.
But
makes sense.
Yeah, it's a big industry. I'm sure NCHA spends multiple millions of dollars a year on cattle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seem to always bring the quality of the cattle there. Every time I've watched it, it's been good stuff. For the most part, I'm sure people can disagree on a bad day.
Oh yeah, no, I mean sometimes cows just aren't any good, But all you can do, all we can do or they can do as producers of a show is get the right type.
Sure.
And the right size, and deal with reputable people that, as well as they can follow, know that those cattle have not been used at a cutting or training horses on. And it is what it is after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you telling yourself when you're walking up to fixing to compete? What are you saying anything to yourself, or is you just silent?
I think everybody, like I always tell people, that you kind of got to figure out what you need to do to mentally prepare yourself to be able to win. And I think for everybody, it's something different. So when I kind of started down here, people were talking about imaging. You go through, in your mind, go through your runs. And inevitably, when I did that, I always would get too far ahead of myself, and you cut great cows and the crowd's cheering, and I get myself too wound up.
Right.
So I backed everything off once I recognized that that's what I was doing to myself. And just mostly thought about the fundamentals, riding down into the herd, finding your cattle, get your cow in a good spot to cut it, get your cow stopped, just no more than the fundamentals. I wouldn't just ride, in position on the cow when you're working. I just never would let myself get too far ahead of myself. And I found that worked best for me. Now, other people probably do just things different. Like Danny used to tell me, she used to always, she'd say, you're almost negative. And I'm like, well, I don't think I'm negative. I'm just doing what I think I need to do to be able to do my best. Because I can remember the first time I showed in Fort Worth. I can remember getting off my first cow. My foot was literally vibrating in the stirrup. I'm like, oh, this is not good. That's how nervous I was, And some people, like my brother Paul, and some people are just our natural showmen. I had to work at it.
Right.
And that was part of it, you know what I mean? I'd go to the Futurity, wouldn't do any good. I'd just think, you know what? I'm going to go home, going to train me 2 more for next year. 2 more are good enough for me to show. And I'm just going to keep coming back until hopefully one day it works.
Right.
And that was kind of my commitment to cutting when I started. I thought, you know what? When I get done, irregardless of how well I've done, as long as I know I've given it 100% effort, then I'm going to be satisfied. I don't want to look back and think, you know what, if you'd tried just a little harder, you might have got there. But as long as I know I gave it 100% effort, then I'd be satisfied. Whether I was living in a single wide trailer and crappy old truck or whatever,
right.
You know what I mean? As long as I knew that it wasn't because of lack of effort, then I'd be good. I'd be fine.
What kind of bloodlines are you running or riding right now?
Well, you know what? I'm kind of retired.
You retired?
Yeah. I'm 71.
Either?
I've had both my hips replaced in the last couple of years.
Oh, wow.
So I had one hip replaced in 23 and the other one in 24. And I haven't liked to show I never was one that liked to show. I always used to call showing a necessary evil, because how do you know if you get your horses trained right?
Right.
If you don't go show.
Right.
So I'd show it because they had to. But it's not, some people love to show. I just never was that person. And so I got to the point when, during the pandemic and stuff, and my hip, I started having trouble with my first hip. And, I was just fortunate I was in a position where I could back off. I still go to the barn. I don't have any help, so it takes me a while to get horses worked, but I'm all right with it.
Yep.
If I'm a little late, I'm a little late. So what we're riding now, for the most part, we have a stud, or had a, he's still alive, but we're not breeding with him anymore. His name is CD Lights. Ryan rode a lot of them in roping, and his colts have won. I mean, they've done fine, but not great. They've won 7 or 8 million. He probably was really popular in the cow horse industry for a while there, and I showed him. He won about 250,000. He was a world champion stud. I hauled him 1 year. Real pretty horse. We raised him here. He was by CD Olena, and out of a mare that Danny owned called Delight of My Life. She was a gray Starlight mare that I won the Derby on in 1997. Anyways, he's still up there. He's 27 years old, and he looks great. We keep him in the stall and turn him out every day and keep blanking on him and enjoying life.
You want retired life with you?
Yeah. And we could do, there's a lot of people are doing the ICSI process now to breed, but we just chose to retire them. Like I said, I think we breed better horses.
Right.
Keep breeding better horses. What I always compare to where we're at with the cutting and the whole performance horse industry. They have, Secretariat has records in the racehorse business from '73 that still stand.
Really?
Yeah, like when you win. Yeah, a lot of the.
Yeah, you'd think I'd be broke by now, would you?
Well, you'd think so.
You'd think, yeah.
But they're not. I mean, they're obviously not breeding better horses.
Sure.
But in what we're doing, like I said, every generation we've improved.
That's good.
On what we have, and not just performing, disposition. The one thing that maybe we're struggling with, and I don't know. There's lots of theories on why that is. Horses aren't nearly as durable as they used to be.
There's what?
Durable.
Okay.
We have a lot more soft tissue issues, and could be a result of all the in or line breeding we do. Maybe that's why horses are easier to handle than they used to be, because they're not as tough.
Right.
But anyway, so we just, rather than, I stood dual pep and CD Olena. When I got done with them when we moved here, I was like, I'd done my stud deal.
Right.
I'd done 2, and it's a lot of work. It's not mailbox money like people seem to think it is.
Yep.
It takes a lot of effort, a lot of phone calls, a lot of going out looking at people's horses, and there's a lot involved to promoting the stud.
Right.
And back when I was involved, we didn't have as much ship semen, so you only got your stud fee when they picked the mare up. She was in foal.
Right.
Today, with the ship semen, you want your semen, you got to pay your stud fee up front.
Right.
And if your mare doesn't get in foal, then we'll breed her next year.
Yep.
And anyways, then CD Lights came along, and he was a real good performer, and people were wanting to breed to him. And so I kind of thought, well, I guess I'm going to have to go a third go around here. And it was more fun because the whole family was involved. Mm-hmm. The other 2, I was over at Bar H, and that was part of my job. So it was fun to do that way with everybody involved in it. Yeah, actually, the funny part is I don't know where I'd read it, but she'd won something. I read an article. But the very first horse that I ever showed as a cutting horse, she showed the same horse. Multiple years later.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When I worked for Charlie Ward, there was a mare called Carry Me Doc. And she was by Carey County, who was a thoroughbred. And out of Janie Barr, who was one of the very first Doc Barr daughters that did well. Her name was Carry Me. And I showed that mare a couple times when I worked for Charlie. And actually, Ryan's 2 good heel horses, Rocky and Starbucks, are out of a mare that was by Gray Starlight, and out of that same Carry Me Doc mare.
How would they?
Yeah.
That's crazy. When you say you had to go look at other horses, were you going to look at what they're breeding it to?
Well, no, they wanted you to come look at their foals.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Come look at, that's, for a lot of people, horses are a hobby.
Sure.
And so, if they think that when they bred to your stud that you would be involved and come look at their colts and advise them on what mares and, stay involved with it, then they'd be more inclined to come back and breed the following year.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, like I said, it's not, people think it's mailbox money, but it certainly is a good way to help supplement your income.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of work involved in it.
It takes a lot of money to get started, too.
Well, more so now than ever before,
Yeah.
with all the different programs you got to pay them in. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I've been very surprised how much the rope horse industry has grown in the last 4 or 5 years. As far as there's actually making, rope horses now, or rope horses that are just studs for the rope horse industry, not a reject of the cutting or the reining cow horse. I've been very surprised how much that's changed.
Oh.
And the breeding, that people actually breed for a really good rope horse. Or before, like I said, it was a crop out of what didn't work out in the cutting world or the reining.
The rope horse thing has exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But I tell people, I say, you know what? You could take all the cutters, all the cow horse people, and all the reiners, and add them together, and it would be a fraction of the people that team rope.
Yep.
And
a lot of them.
There's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in the rope horse business got a lot of money too, and they're starting to spend it because they have to. They want to win.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it's only going to keep growing.
I say that, and does it feel like it's starting to be a tug of war with the horses they're breeding versus? Do you still get the inventory to pull from for the cutters? Them doing that for the rope horse world, like the studs, or are they just two completely different horses?
Oh no, I mean I think that there's a lot. Maybe not so much head horses, but I think a lot of heel horses are still
Small
cow horse, cutting bloodlines. I think maybe the head horses, they're starting to breed them a little bit more with a little more run in them.
Yeah.
But no, before this rope horse futurity thing took off like it has, I mean, when we had a 3-year-old that wasn't going to make it, well, we were happy to get $5,000 to $7,500 for him.
Yeah.
Now if it's got a little size and a nice horse, well, you can get $30,000 to $50,000 for him.
All day long.
Yeah. So you're not making any money at $50,000, even though that sounds like a lot of money for a prospect. There's not a lot of. By the time you raise one, breed it, raise it to yearling, ride it for 2 years, but you're certainly come a lot closer to getting your investment back out of them.
100%.
Yeah, no, it's the rope horse thing has been a blessing to the whole horse industry, and the whole horse industry. I mean. Look, you go to all these ranch horse sales, and just a nice ranch horse that not really a team roping horse, not really a cutter, not really, but just a nice, quiet, good-looking gelding will bring $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. Yeah,
it's not going to do nothing but just
the whole horse industry is probably never seen better days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems to be here to stay for a little while. Seems to be.
Yeah, until we have our next recession.
Yeah, that's the only what stops that.
When we have our next recession, the horse business won't be so good again.
No.
But right now, it's the whole industry is good, and I think whether what are the reasons for it to be that way. I think people are a lot more accepting. Being a cowboy's cool. Mm-hmm. Being a cowboy is cool. Has always been cool in Texas.
Right.
But maybe not so much in other places.
Yep.
But now I think it's, people want to be a cowboy.
Do you have any superstitions about when you go to show?
Well, I avoid yellow shirts for no reason. Can't tell you for any reason. I can remember when I started cutting out when I was working for Charlie Ward. I didn't know nothing about it. We got a room and I threw my hat on the bed. He about freaked out. He was the next calf roper, He's like, you can't do that, So I don't do that, but not for any particular reason. Did I show the same blue shirt that I won the Futurity on for a while? Yeah, I remember we made Big Age event. Made sure I put that same blue shirt on that I wore that night. But other than that, no, I'm not very superstitious.
Well, I haven't asked that question over and over again in a podcast to like the last 4 or 5 people, just because on the last 2 months or 30 days, somewhere in there, I've heard a lot of people be superstitious about the color yellow. And that blows my mind because I never thought about it, but why? I didn't know. But it is a thing.
Yeah, I don't have any reason to say that I am, but just know that people say you're not supposed to. I just never gone there.
I would.
But like when we show, when you're talking about superstition, when we show, we have routines that we don't deviate very far on, as far as when we put our chaps on, when we walk down in the arena from the cow box, off running horses ahead of time, how we prepare ourselves. And I think that's probably, I don't care if you're a team roper or a bronc rider or whatever, they have their routines of how they prepare themselves to go compete. I'm sure even in sports athletes, they have routines that get into that they feel like they need to do, and then they're more prepared to be able to compete at the highest level they can.
You think that's why having that routine doesn't take away from them thinking about what they need to do next, because that's just what they do every step of the way.
Yeah.
Because if not, it's taken away from what they got to do in the ring.
Yeah, probably.
I would think.
Probably.
Because I would say most people in anything, if they're going to compete, does the same thing like you're talking about.
Yeah.
So, if you had to define your grit with one word, that's where it gets interesting.
Determination.
Determination.
Or determined, whichever verb you want to use.
Determined. I got you. And if you had to give yourself at 18 or an 18-year-old advice, what would it be?
Give it 100% effort. Never lose your integrity. There was a third one in there. Always maintain your integrity. Give it 100% effort. And remember everybody on the way up, because you're going to meet them on the way down.
Yep.
Always be good to people. Yeah. Always be good.
That's a good one.
Never forget the people on the way up, because I hear that a lot. Now I go to shows, because I hear that from people that go, what's with these guys now? You see them in Weatherford and, they'll talk to you and they get to the Coliseum and they'll walk right by you. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, but.
Yeah. No, that's a good one though.
Yeah. I always say the difference, and I probably going to be, somebody's not going to appreciate this, but I think the difference today versus when I grew up, by the time we got good in my era, we learned the word humility. And I'm not so sure that a lot of young guys today learn that word before they get good.
Right.
And not that there's plenty of great people in the young guys in the cutting, you know what I mean? But I think that's a big difference.
What is your greatest memory of the Coliseum?
Winning the Futurity, I guess.
I don't know. I was hoping you were going to say something different. You had some wild story behind.
No. That was, like I said, for everything to come together like it did. I had a really good career, but I can't tell you that I ever thought I was a real natural. I mean, God gave me enough talent to do well, but I had to work my ass off to get there.
Right.
And so, like I said, the year I won the Futurity, I did. I mean, I thought, if you can't win on one of these two, probably not going to happen.
Right.
And I was second a couple of years after that on a couple other horses, but so it's a hard title to win.
Have you seen the renovations on it?
No, but it looks good.
Yeah.
I know this is just phase one, but it needed it.
It needed it.
Oh.
And yeah.
Our industry, it wasn't helping our business
No.
to show in the Coliseum. The ventilation was horrible, but yeah, no, I'm glad to see this is just phase one, and you know, as far as we're going to be in there, I don't think you're going to notice any difference.
Not really. More
The ventilation and the corridors and the bathrooms and concessions are going to be all, yeah, no, I'm thrilled that they're.
The common question people would ask when they're walking around in the exhibit hall, we're at our booth, what have you, or in there, is like, why are you always wearing a vest or a jacket? It's like, 'cause we got to go in the Coliseum, and it's cold in there, whether it's 40 degrees outside or if it's 120. It's freaking cold.
This is one year. It was cold outside, and it was really cold in the Coliseum. And up there, and where the announcer stand is, and where all the NCHA officials sit, there's a table there and stuff. Well, they'd have these heaters underneath electric heaters underneath the table, and we're freezing down there. I mean, you could see your breath. Yeah. So we thought, well, we'll fix it, guys. So we went up there and stole their heaters, you know. And they wouldn't. They held the cutting up till we brought the heaters back. You know?
Oh wow!
So like, well, all right, turn some heat on in here for the rest of us too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Winston, it was good hanging out with you.
No, I appreciate it. It's been a great life.
I
mean, the one thing about doing what I did for a living, training cutting horses, I can honestly say that I got up every day looking forward to what I got to do. And I sympathize with people that had jobs that looked forward for Friday and dreaded Mondays coming around, and think, man, you were lucky to not have to have that kind of lifestyle. It's been good, and the horse business has been good, and just happy and fortunate to be here.
Sure. Was there any pressure once you won?
Oh yeah,
Futurity.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
You get that. You know, you hear that all. Well, once you're the champion, now you got to show you're the champion by doing it again and again. You know, like I feel like, when you get to that spot in life.
Well, the next year I was second on a horse called CD Olena. I was second to Pepto Boomsmall with Gary Belafonte.
Wow.
And I remember thinking to myself, you know what? I was actually almost more excited about being second, so that way it validated being able to win it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wish I'd have been around the industry when those older horses that we now know their name so well and we're performing and stuff. Cause I haven't seen a lot of that. I just hearsay. So, I didn't get to see all that as the cutting industry was going on, and now you breed all of them. It'd be cool to go back in time and be able to see that, that actually win the Futurity and do the things they did. Because just to be in the Coliseum, to feel that moment, knowing what they're going to accomplish years later in breeding and all that stuff, and they're I shouldn't say byproduct, but they're daughters and sons of what they've accomplished along with them, and it's just cool to see that.
Yeah, well, there probably was generally a more exciting feeling inside the Coliseum back when Smart Little Lena and all that won the Futurity, because there was no webcast. I mean, it was a packed facility, and now you almost get a little numb to watching good horses perform, because if you get on, watch it on a webcast, you can about wear yourself out watching roping and cow horse and reining, and I mean, it's just there all the time, and the best of the best, Yeah. And but at one time, like I said, if you wanted to watch it, you had to be there, and it was a cool atmosphere.
100%.
In those buildings back in them days.
And
it's getting better. You know what? We kind of went through a period of time there with cutting where they were taking it over an hour to settle cows, and it really did move spectator wise, people just weren't coming in to watch it anymore. And now and I had multiple people ask me that, well, why? That's all they wanted to talk about. Why does it take so long to settle the cows? And now they're doing the pre-settling, and there is some people that don't like it still, but it has sped the process up, and we're getting people back to watch it again. Jay's done a good job. Winborn has done a good job of getting that environment back. So that's good. Our industry's good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, once again, thank you for coming hanging out with us.
No, enjoyed it. Sorry about making you wait.
No, you're good. You're good. Stay tuned for your next Grit Branded podcast.